All right, Kristen, we're at your place today. We're at Copeland Springs Farm and Kitchen. We're in Pittsboro, North Carolina, and this is such a cool thing you have going on here. Very unique as well. Talk a little bit about your farm and the business and sort of, what you're part of in this bigger community.
We were really lucky to land here at the plant. It's a 16 or 17 acre campus. It's a community of businesses, all local, locally owned and local food shed focused businesses. We have Starlight Mead, we have Chatham Cider Works, we have Fair Game Beverage, we have the Abundance Foundation, we have Hemp Smith, Carolina Hemp Tours, I sound like an advertisement now, Oak City Hemp, Chatham Axes, we have BMC Brewing coming, so this is like the place to be. Our kitchen is located here, so we cook up things that are growing on our farm, so our menu changes every month. It's very seasonal. And so we loved that we landed here because it's already a community of people that believe in the same things we believe in, and the customers believe in the same things we believe in. So it's a really fun place to be.
Very cool. So lots of stuff to talk about here.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little bit of a walk around the farm and show a couple things, but also a big part of your business is the kitchen, so we'll talk about that too. But before we do that, talk a little bit about your background and how you got into farming and those sorts of things.
Yeah, so I kind of grew up on like a homestead situation, and so I've always had my hands in the dirt, and I've enjoyed farming or growing things. And originally we moved here with the intent that I was going to go to nursing school, and in thinking a lot about it, I decided that instead of helping people after they got sick, I really believe in keeping yourself healthy, and I believe in doing that through food. So eating a diversity of food and healthy food. And so that was what led me to farming and how I feel like I can help take care of people. So I sort of transitioned from my corporate job into farming, and it's been awesome.
Okay, so talk a little about that initial farming experience. Not initial, you did it for a few years, right?
In Cary?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started in Cary, and I had space on our property in Cary to grow, but I also grew in a bunch of different other people's yards, which was really fantastic. It got me to have space to produce things to sell. It taught me a lot about how I wanted to do things, but it's not super efficient. So moving into this property, it's still really broken up, but in my mind it's fine because it's what I've always done, and we're still working to improve our efficiencies.
Okay, so for a few years you were sort of doing that spin farming, urban farming kind of model.
Right.
So learning how to grow, learning how to produce food, and you're feeling like this is the right fit for you guys, especially with the kitchen too.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Let's go take a look around.
Okay.
All right, so this is one of your field blocks out here, and your farm's kind of shaped like a U.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It surrounds the campus here. I like to say that it hugs the campus. We have 5 different fields that are blocked off. We have a lot of pest pressure here, so we have deer and groundhogs and rabbits. So they're all fenced, broken up into 5 different fields, and so there is a lot of gates, fence line to maintain, and all of that.
Okay, so what kind of stuff are you growing out in these blocks here?
These 2 fields they were primarily summer crops that are getting pulled out now and getting ready to go fall and overwinter. We've got a lot of melons and squash behind me, a cover crop of some sunflowers and buckwheat. And then in this field down here, we're experimenting with some pole beans that tend to do better in high heat. And then we've got some butternut squash and some brassicas as well.
Okay, and I think that there's obviously a struggle here, or a challenge I should say, with the setup and layout of your farm. It's pretty spread out.
It is.
Talk about some of those challenges and how you guys have overcome that.
So we do have the 5 different fields. They are separated, so there's a lot of distance between our harvest pack station and our cooler and our fields themselves. We do have a solar-powered gator that we use a lot. We use it for absolutely everything, for transporting people, plants, all of our tools. So we tend to load up. We have sort of our playlist for the day, and we load up all of our tools, and we go to wherever we're working. It's not the best plan. The idea is that we're going to have our different tool sheds in each field that have the tools, various different tools. It does mean that we have to invest in 5 different sets of tools, though, so we're working on it.
We probably share a set of tools between
Absolutely.
these 2. Okay, cool. Let's go check out some of the other blocks.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so this is the plot in the back of the property, essentially, and it's beautiful. I mean, I feel like I'm in the woods out here.
Yeah, it's a nice little secluded spot.
Absolutely. I noticed you guys have serious fencing here, which is probably helping a lot with deer and rabbits, for the most part.
Yeah, the tall fence helps with deer. We've put in chicken wire around all of our fencing, which there was a shortage of chicken wire with COVID. Who knew?
Okay.
So we put chicken wire around all the fences to keep with the to help with the rabbits. But it does not keep the groundhogs out. So
there's always something, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So this block here, or this field, this is mostly peppers this summer?
Yeah, peppers, turmeric, and ginger.
Okay, I see awesome production out here.
Yeah, peppers do really well in North Carolina.
Yeah, with the heat, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys use a lot of peppers, like in your kitchen? Or?
Yeah, we're growing cayennes and paprika this year to hopefully have our own powders to use in the kitchen. And we'll chop and freeze and pickle and use all of our peppers as much as possible in the kitchen. They don't sell super great, but we use them a lot in the kitchen, so it's nice. And CSA gets them.
Okay, cool. And I got you got some other cool crops back here I want to go check out.
Yeah. All right, we have ginger growing in this row, turmeric here, and another row of turmeric there. We use these both fresh, and then we also powder it for use in the kitchen as well.
Talk a little about how you grow these. These are, I don't think, a very common crop.
No, we get our seed from Puna Organics in Hawaii. And we get it probably in February every year. We start it on heat in the prop house and pre-sprout it. It takes a couple months to pre-sprout, and then we put it in the soil here and we hill it up a couple of times during the season. It's a really long season crop, but not long enough to form the skin on the ginger. So that's why when you see ginger grown here, it's all called baby ginger because it doesn't develop the thick skin. But it's great because you don't have to peel it, which is really nice. So we pre-sprout them in the prop house. We plant them out here in about May when the soil warms up and just keep them weeded and mulched. And we harvest generally, I wait until frost technically, and then we start pulling them up.
They look awesome.
They're really happy. This is a great field for them.
So we're out in a field of cover crop here, but this is a very different cover crop than I've seen before. Talk a little about the strategy here.
We did a cover crop of buckwheat and sunflower, and the idea was that the buckwheat would smother a lot of weeds initially and the sunflowers would come up, also smothering weeds and also pull up a lot of nutrients. And then we mow everything down with a flail mower, which chops it up into very fine pieces and just leave it on the surface of the soil. And then we let it break down. We'll tarp it and cover it for the winter and let it break down. So it provides carbon in the soil and also nutrients for all the microbes. So all winter long it'll sit here and break down. And in the spring, we'll probably put another cover crop on it in the spring, a really fast growing one. And the food that this provides will feed that cover crop and then mow that cover crop and probably plant an actual cash crop.
Okay, so all this was broadcasted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel like probably don't need to water this very much.
Right. Sunflowers.
Okay.
Low water.
I also see benefits of like pollinators.
Yes.
Also,
you can hear all the bees when we're standing here.
Absolutely. I also think about like marketing and people taking
Everybody
photos.
likes the sunflower.
Everyone loves sunflowers. So I think it's a creative way of bringing some more diversity and some beauty to the farm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works.
All right, this thing's super cool. Talk a little bit about this gator and what you guys did to it.
This is an electric gator, and we got it because there's a lot of ground to cover here, and so it's so helpful for hauling people and tools and harvest and weeds around. My husband hooked up a solar panel, so it charges anytime it's parked in the sun. And it's electric, so it's nice and quiet. It doesn't have fumes. It charges itself. It's the best tool on our farm.
So it's handy having a husband's electrician.
It's very handy.
Okay, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Also, so you just have to make sure you park it like not in the shade.
Right.
Any problems like it lasting throughout the day?
No, not at all. It sometimes, if we use it really heavily, it kind of starts slowing down after a couple of days. But as long as we have good sunny days, it does great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty inexpensive way to just eliminate another task.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, and we're not using any fossil fuels.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the kitchen and the food prep and stuff is a big part of your business here. Explain how this fits in and what you guys are doing here.
Yeah, so it sort of came about because I would be at market and talking with tons of people and trying to, get them excited about vegetables, and a lot of people just don't know how to cook or they don't have time to cook. So the idea came about to have a small prep kitchen for me to prepare things to take to market, and it sort of ballooned into this restaurant, which has been great. So there's a lot of produce that a lot of farmers just throw away because it goes bad. They don't have an outlet for it. This gives us an outlet. So there's a lot of produce that won't sell at market, or I can't sell it to chefs, or otherwise it couldn't be sold, but we can use it in the kitchen to make a lot of amazing food.
Okay, so this area here brings in a lot of people for coming in drinks and family fun and stuff. So you guys have just outdoor seating?
Yes. We don't have any indoor seating. There's 2 businesses, Starlight Mead and Fair Game Mead, that have indoor seating. Otherwise, it's all outdoors, and there's tons of seating all over campus.
Okay. Are you doing like take-home orders and stuff too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you also run a CSA.
Yes.
And so is one of the pickup sites here?
Yes.
Are people then you able to sell them some prepared food as well?
Yeah, so they can get additional. All of our CSA members get a discount at the kitchen as well. So when they come to pick up, they can get additional food. And it's a good way for them to see how we prepare some of the vegetables that are in their CSA boxes.
Very cool. All right. And so do you have a background in cooking or?
No.
Okay.
But as a farmer, you learn how to eat everything, right?
Absolutely.
And usually that's what farmers eat, is all the seconds. So, yeah.
All right. And so you've really enjoyed that?
Love it.
Does it feel like you're running 2 businesses, or does it feel?
It feels like I'm running like 4.
Oh, 4. Okay. So 1 and 1 is 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I dreamt this up, so, it's awesome.
So obviously the produce you grow on the farm gets put as an input into the kitchen. But how else is the kitchen essentially tied to the farm?
So that was a big aspect when I was writing my business plan. I wanted sort of like a full circle. So our farm supplies our vegetables for the kitchen, and our kitchen, all of our food scraps, we either make stock with anything that's still good, or we put it into the compost, and we have an active composting system here. And so we recycle all that back into our farm that grows more crops for our kitchen. It's very satisfying.
Cool. Well, let's go check out the compost.
Okay, cool.
All right, so there's a lot of stuff on this property from projects past, I guess. Mm-hmm. So these solar panels are still active, right?
Yes, they're tied into the grid.
But you guys are double purposing this, essentially, using the shade here. Talk about what's going on behind you.
Yeah, so the idea when they built these solar panels was to grow crops under them, utilizing the shade from the panels. But it's really hard to manage because shade constantly shifts and moves. And so when I took over this farm, I decided there was a lot to manage here, and so this wasn't something that I wanted to add to it. So what we do is we use it for our composting bays, and we also use it to provide shade for growing shiitake mushrooms. So we produce a lot of scraps from our kitchen, and we're pulling out crops from the farm, so we compost everything. Which it helps us reduce all of our waste from the kitchen, so we can compost and recycle almost anything from our kitchen. So we always have a very active compost pile, and we have a system where we have one that's always being added to, which right now is that one down there. And all the other businesses here contribute to the compost too, so I'll take whatever they've got. And then we have an unlimited supply of leaves that we mix in with our compost as well, and then we turn it. We make sure that it's generating the right amount of heat, and we turn it and turn it. Oftentimes we use it before it's fully composted because we need it, but we let it sit out in the field. So we might put the compost down before we plant a cover crop, so it's feeding the cover crop, but it's not too hot for plants. So this helps us reduce our waste that goes into the landfill, and it feeds our soil to grow more food for the kitchen.
Also, the accessibility looks great because you can access it with a machine.
Yeah, which is why so many composts don't work for a lot of people, is you're not able to turn it efficiently and aerate it. And
on any sort of scale.
Right, yeah. Because you need mass, you need bulk to create the heat.
So Kristen, you have so much cool stuff going on here, and not just from your farm and your restaurant kitchen going on, but there's a lot of other businesses here. What's that collaboration look like, and how does that impact things?
We're really lucky to be all located together in this little community. I think especially during COVID, if we had all been separate, it would have been a lot harder, but together we really support each other. We do a lot of collaboration on products, so a lot of the, like Starlight and Fair Game and Chatham Cider Works, they use produce from my farm and their products. I use apple cider vinegar from Chatham Cider Works in my kitchen. I use products from Fair Game in the kitchen. We all contribute to my compost that contributes to the rest of the farm. And I think we try as much as possible, if we need to source something, we try to source it within our little community here.
Cool.
Which is awesome.
All right, and I want to talk about the business side of things for a second here. I think that this is brilliant in a way that you have a draw here, right? There's already a bunch of businesses together where people are coming to visit. Has that been really helpful to get your business started?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be here. I felt like the people that were already coming here were customers that would also appreciate what I'm doing, and I liked the value and the mission that other businesses here have.
Okay, and so what was the split like between the farming and the restaurant, and then how has that changed with COVID, you think?
So we used to be at 2 markets, and now we're not doing markets. I think before it was probably maybe equal farm and kitchen. It's definitely more 75% kitchen, 25% farm, like on a daily, weekly basis. Our CSA, we have a 50-member CSA, and so that kind of evens us out over the year, which is nice. COVID's definitely pushed the kitchen much more because we don't have as much access to selling produce like we used to.
Well, I think it's a great example of having a diverse business model. And I think a lot of farmers have had to be very creative with things. And I think this was already set up for you to be that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So this is great, Kristen. I will leave links down below for all the stuff related to your farm and the plant here. And thanks so much for having me out today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Kristen, we're out at your farm, Copeland Springs. Wait, is it Copeland Springs?
Copeland Springs Farm and Kitchen.
Farm and Kitchen. I'm gonna start that over. Kristen, thanks for having me out today. We're at your place, Copeland Farms.
Copeland Springs Farm and Kitchen.
I know.
Turmeric here, and we have another row of ginger or turmeric down that way. Can I start over?
Yep.
And it's just really, I mean, it's amazing. It's got its dump bed, and it's not on.
All right, Kristen, what out your? I can't even talk today. This is the worst when I'm like not on camera. All right, Kristen, what out your place?